Hey guys, welcome to a new episode. Sorry for the massive delay, but my laptop broke and we had to wait for the technician to come out to the farm, which took pretty much 2 months. Now it's fixed.
And we have some exciting episodes coming up. There's a little sneak preview of what's to come behind us here. This is our box. We've already started building. Yeah, so stay tuned and hopefully you'll enjoy the next ones as well.
I'm Jelle.
And I'm Patrick.
Together we are JP Adventures 19. We're done with work, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to work on the mark today. Or that, honestly. No more energy. He's sleeping already, and it's 3:30. As you can see, it's easier to work on it now, especially on the airlines. And we already found one that's a bit brittle and doesn't look very reliable anymore, one of the hydraulic ones. So we'll have to replace that and check all the others. What did you do?
I've taken off the battery box because it's super rusty. The screws were seized. I had to pretty much cut these two off. This one was such a pain to get out. I literally had to just yank the box around and then eventually it just popped off the head. Yeah, so you can see there's a bunch of rust here. It's pretty much to the point where there's holes in the box, so I'll have to patch it up. Alrighty, so we jacked up the Mog from the back here, just so we can get our springs out. So what we did is jacked it up to the point where the springs now have no more load on them, and then just loosen the top bolts. And your inner spring will fall down, so you have to put something through so you can loosen your bottom bolt. And the reason we're doing this is because there's enough rust here that we really want to spray and first treat and then spray over, just so these look new again and are new again pretty much.
But before you can do that, you have to take out the shock absorber.
That's right.
That's what Patrick did before.
And most important when doing this, wear your safety goggles. These springs are loaded and sometimes stuff goes flying.
Yeah, this is what the other side looks like. So good luck, Patrick. Also, the air tanks are out. Patrick did it in the dark, so we're sorry we couldn't record it because you wouldn't have seen anything. And so the only thing that is still on there is pretty much the fuel tank.
Took the step off today. Alright, so we're taking off the holder for the spare wheel because we probably won't need it anymore. And I'm also going to take off this first step just so we can paint everything here without missing any spots, because it is pretty rusty underneath everything that's attached. So I want to take everything off, paint it, attach it back on. That way there won't be any rust underneath. Here we go. Alright, so if anybody really wants to know why we're going through all of this trouble taking off every single part we can, that's the reason why. Because this isn't rusted through, and it's not gonna rust through anytime soon, but it does offer a good place for water just to get stuck and keep rusting and rusting. And eventually you won't be able to get this part off, which will suck because we need to move it. We'll extend it back if we get bigger tires. And you just don't want rust to start forming anywhere. So just gonna lightly sand this, treat the rust, some rust converter, and then paint it again.
So we just finished work and came back up to where we live.
And it's Christmas!
And look what got here! Our steel delivery. And it got delivered to JP Adventures.
Not only that, it got sold to JP Adventures.
Patrick keeps taking the Unimog apart. Actually, there's not much left. Just small bits and pieces and the fuel tank. Patrick is about to take the diesel tank off, so he unscrewed these two thingies and actually broke the bolt. The head came off, but we'll just replace it.
Alrighty, so we took off these straps holding down the tank because we're taking the tank off, and found this giant piece of rust right here. I actually just took a screwdriver and nibbled it off, and there's actually not a lot left here, so we're gonna have to putty some stuff in here just to make sure that this doesn't ever open up, because then we won't have any fuel left in our tank. So this is why you actually take stuff apart before you paint it, because you find stuff like this and then you can actually fix it and you're not stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
And we found some more rust underneath. Check it out. It doesn't look good. We'll definitely have to take care of that. So there's some rubber on the steel. We'll just take it off. Maybe don't destroy it, Patrick.
Yay! Now that we got these things off, we will remove the mounts for the tank so we can properly sand and spray them. Spring cylinder that sits here is actually covering all this rust, so I've just taken it out. Slides out pretty easily. This just comes off like a normal hose fitting. I'm just gonna do the same thing on that side now. So if anybody wants to replicate this for whatever reason, just if you're crazy enough because you see a little bit of rust here and you want to do this, or even if you just have to switch out this part, be very, very careful when you take out that bolt, that pin in here. The moment the pin comes out and you have something else that you're pushing through, it'll get stuck on that. And then as you move this around, it'll literally just jump, because this is actually spring loaded. So is this, by the way. So holding jumps. Just make sure you don't have your hand here or your fingers here, because if it, like, there's a guard here obviously that stops it, but if you have anything, like if you have your hand like that, you'll just completely smash it, and like you don't want to get hurt doing this kind of stuff. So these springs are very, very loaded. Be careful when you do it, and wear eye protection. All right, so trying to get the sway bar out, which is a bit of a bigger project. Check this out. Gotten the bottom part out with so these nuts here, they were pretty tight on there, so I had to actually lever them off with the very end of the bar, and now these rods are just stuck in there completely tight. So I'm using WD-40 and the good old blowtorch. See if it works.
Good morning! Finally, it's the weekend again, so we can work a bit more on the Unimog. And Patrick just took the exhaust pipe out. And pretty much everything else. So this is what the Mog looks like at the moment. Not much left, and everything's laying on the ground.
Whatever.
Alright, we've been trying to get this out for 2 days, so we soaked it in WD-40, but it just wouldn't come out. So now we're using this one to heat up the area around it, so the metal expands and it comes out easier.
And I'm hammering with the big hammer onto the pipe, because you don't want to hit the threads, or else you'll end up just contracting the threads and you won't ever get the nut back on there. So you don't want to do that. So I'm just putting the pipe onto the lip and just gonna smash it as hard as I can, get it out.
Let's go!
Let's go! Don't.
Here we go. Coming! Woo! Yes! It worked! Woo! And I have no idea how he can do that without earmuffs. Patrick. This is the only way to get into the cabin at the moment. There's no second step, there's no handle. It's a bit of a challenge. So I tried to put some paper towels on the edges to find out where the water comes from, because it's supposed to rain today or tomorrow. So we'll find out if that works or not. We just started sanding again, which is our favorite part of it.
Don't say that bad word.
And so we just want to show you why we do that and why we took everything off, because this is what it looks like underneath. So this is rust. It's flaking off, and it was underneath something. I think the fuel tank was here. Well, so we want to get rid of all this, and then we'll apply rust converter and spray paint it again.
Yele is hard at work sanding the very rusty spots. her new favorite tool that she bought me for my birthday. Our relationship is a bit different. Usually it's the guy buying the girl tools and then using them himself. Well, in our relationship, she buys me tools and then she uses them herself. But I'm not complaining.
We are trying to remove the front screen. The thing is, since everything's rusted, that's rusted as well. So we put a lot of WD-40 in there. Now Patrick's using a metal bar and trying to hammer it out from underneath. It already worked on the other side. Let's see, maybe here. Push a slide. We're getting there. Woo! Uh-oh. Someone's mad.
Pissed.
We made it! Woo! Look at this rusty thing. Today is a holiday in Western Australia, so we can work on the Moggy again. But it's supposed to start raining later, and big rains on Wednesday, so we're a bit in a rush because we need to cover the parts where it's bare steel, otherwise it will start rusting again. Let's go, Patrick! It started raining! Oh no! Tomorrow we'll have to go back to work, pick fruit in the rain, so we can't work as much on the Moggy, but we'll be back. One of the last things we're taking off is this part, and it took a while. One side was pretty easy and this side was rusty again, so we had to use WD-40, a blowtorch, and lots of hammering with a big steel bar and a big hammer. And now finally it came off!
Now finally it's coming off.
Oh yeah, it's not... Oh, you go. Here you go. It's off. Awesome. More spray painting to come. More sanding. But this is what it looks like at the moment. So Patrick took the brake lines off. It was a bit of a pain. Obviously there's rust as well. And now it should be all off, and we'll label it so we know how to put it back together.
Very
Off we go. I will start sanding again. Now we're sanding the parts that will go back onto the chassis. I'll start with this and that part. Let's go!
working lady. Alright, while she's sanding, I'm in the process of taking off the rest of the airlines so we can take the brake master cylinder out. That way we'll have a nice even surface to finish sanding here, especially finish sanding the top after we take the brake lines off, so now we can actually get to all this nasty rust here. Yeah, and then we can slowly start painting and putting it back together.
It's Sunday again. We're back working on the Mog. We had to work yesterday, which is unusual, but we had to get the last few apples picked. So today the plan is to sand down the rest. It's not that much left. Put rust converter on the rusty spots, paint it with primer and then with proper paint. And they should look pretty. But actually this is just a preparation for our final coat, which we will show you and talk to you about it later.
So Yele is now priming the bare spots that are left that we've kept finding. We keep finding more. And then we'll let that dry for about an hour and then we can start painting. Are you excited?
Oh, finally, no more sanding.
Yeah, you wish.
For now.
I wish too, but I have a feeling that's not gonna come true.
We're done sanding. We applied primer and rust converter before that, and now we're ready to paint. Finally, it's already getting dark, so we have to hurry up. And Patrick's getting rid of the dust at the moment. We're back from the other farm and working on the Mog again. And this is the result of our spray paint session last night. Look at this. This is only the first coat. We'll put another one on and we will also spray paint the transmission, but we need to sand it properly first. So we'll do that next time. So now, more sanding of the other parts.
So this episode might have seemed a bit over the top, but in the end we are happy that we did it because we did find lots of rust, and it's not necessarily the kind of rust that'll completely cripple the car and like break the chassis, but some stuff like the fuel tank, like you don't want to have a leaking fuel tank when you're in the middle of nowhere. So in the end we're glad we did it. It was a lot of work, but for us it was worth it because we may have this Unimog for a very long time. So yeah, that way we know it's in good condition and ready to go.
Yeah, and also we decided to replace most of the bolts, so we have new bolts and no rusted bolts or some that didn't really have a thread anymore.
Yep. Just for ease, in case we ever need to take stuff off again. Like they won't be seized now because we'll be greasing them, and it just makes stuff a lot easier when you're on the road and you know you've taken everything apart and you know you can take it apart, put it back together without bolts shearing off and breaking off and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have to say a big thank you to Prime in Bunbury, because they supply us with all the bolts, and it's a bit of a hassle because these are not all of them are normal bolts. Like, some are a bit of a hassle to get, but they really support us and help us, and we just have to say thank you for that. We are on the way to Perth because we need to figure some stuff out.